What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And is there a big change, for the club? Because maybe we will have a new direction. Well, that's how it's been reported. But actually, if you look deep into it, it's far from reality. However, it's an interesting move. We all know about Tether. I think you pronounce it like that. Remember, last season they popped up because they bought some shares in the club. And the slogan was from Paolo, who is the CEO of Tether, saying, make Juve great again. He's Juve fan. He went on a rant, saying that, well, Alcon doesn't want our help right now. We're willing to help, but he's refusing it. And now they're taking a completely different approach. They're not going into full attack, because they said we want to invest heavily in the club, but Alcon or whatever the ownership is saying, no, stay away. And what they did was buy even more shares at the club, and now they have 10%. And the next step is to get one board member on the board, basically one of them, on the board. Will that have a big impact on the club? No, it won't. However, for them, probably it's a first step to say, okay, we're here, we're serious, and we want to help. We want to make a difference for this club. We want to invest in this club, even though it's not as easy as, here we go, 200 million, go buy players. It doesn't really work like that, But there's an entire explanation we will go into, because I think it's important to talk about it, because it sounds all good and like, oh my God, but the reality is a bit different. So before we do that, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive straight into the latest report. Okay, I will read out. Okay, so Tether could be on the board very soon. I think it's the 7th of November. It's a board meeting, whatever, and the voting and whatever. But the situation is different. So Exor, and this from Antonio Corsa, because he put it out perfectly. I'm not into, shares and whatever. We're football fans, or I'm a football fan. I don't really care about those things, into details. However, he said that Exor, they have the majority list because they majority shares, so it's working with lists basically. We'll get clear in a bit, but they're the majority, obviously. The outgoing board of directors and anyone holding more than 1% of Juve shares, the so-called minority list, can each submit their own list of candidates for the new board. Paolo tweeted, "We will submit our own list." Now, by law, one member from the most voted minority list must be included into the new board. They are one of the minority lists, but from all the minority lists out there, I don't know how many there are, 5, 10, 20, I don't know. The one with the most votes can bring somebody into the board. And that's an interesting twist because, well, somebody said, well, what about Alcon or somebody else pumping up a bit of shares somewhere else, or saying, voting, vote for them, vote for this, and you don't get Tether, even though they own, almost the second most majority shares. They won't have absolutely no say because somebody else got more votes, even with 1%, and they can come in. However, in Juve's case, Tether is the second largest shareholder after Exor. If Tether's minority list receives the highest number of votes among all minority lists, it will have the right to appoint one member to the new board without needing anyone else's approval. This is a legal right protecting minority shareholders. What this means is no, Tether is not automatically entitled to a board member just because they own 10% of the club or the shares. For that to happen, again, its list must also be the most voted minority list, which is likely to happen. All the other board members will be chosen by Exor through its majority list. So, to put it in a nutshell, they don't have any say. Even if they get elected, they don't have any say. Right now, it's getting into the board and it's being more symbolic, being in the meetings, being have a say basically at the club, or like just sit at the table and talk about things, and it's a different approach to, because I think they bought they bought new shares. The first time they came in, they had less shares, they bought in, so again, they can keep buying if somebody else sells, whatever, But I think it's a different approach, because you remember, I think a year, like literally a year from now, we talked about it, and he was attacking the club. He was saying, "Oh, we want to attacking." He was saying, telling the fans, "I want to invest. I want to make this club great again, or whatever." However, Alcon or the ownership says, "No, we don't want to hear it," etc. This is a different approach. This is a first step basically to get back in it, like to not back, to actually get into it, and then basically say, okay, we're here and we want to help. We have certain ideas, etc. Financially, they have the money to do something. Again, and don't ask me how it works. How can they invest? Is that via sponsors? I have no clue. What I do know, or what we all know, is what we've been told by Paolo, who is the CEO, saying that he wants to help. He wants to invest in the club. He wants to improve the club, and think about the future of the club when it comes to everything, broadcasting or whatever, like sponsorships, putting the club on the map again, which leads probably to, well, generating money, investing, etc. All these things, because keep in mind, right now we're the only club in Italy or in Serie A to own our own stadium. That's unique, and you need to take full advantage of that. Nobody that has that. I think Inter and Milan will get that now when they will buy San Siro. I think from the city of Milan, they will break it up, or whatever, rebuild it or build a new stadium, and they will own that stadium as well. But they are going to need to share, obviously, certain things between each other. However, right now we're the only team who have full ownership of their own stadium. We don't need to pay the city money to rent the stadium basically every single week, etc. It's the clubs. You need to take full advantage of that. On top of that, we have the biggest fan base of any Italian team across the world, in Italy, whatever. You need to take advantage. Like, that can diminish really quickly. It can go down, it can go away, it can vaporize, it can leave really quickly. So you need to pounce on certain opportunities right now. Yes, we're not where we are, but if somebody wants to help as an ownership, you need to reconsider that, because right now they're, putting money into it, capital gains, capital that, whatever, because of mistakes. Obviously, just throwing money at it is not the solution, So we're just all hoping that Comoli and Chiellini, it's the right, decision. They come in, they stabilize everything, and they have a plan, and it works, whatever. However, we all know we also need financial backing, because we cannot compete with the bigger clubs right now. We struggle to keep players. We've been there. We need to sell our youngsters for peanuts because, well, it's clean money, etc. It's not fun, and not just for us, for other clubs as well. But if you have that advantage of owning a stadium, having a big fan base, being one of the most successful clubs in the world, you need to take advantage of those things, and you need to be smart with it. I get it, but this could be an opportunity for the club and for Paulo to do it a different way, to take a different approach to it, baby steps, and then who knows, But right now it was all like, oh my god, they're coming in, but if you read into it, it's more like symbolic, in my opinion, because even if they're in the board, they don't really have a say. It's all really symbolic. It's a first step, and who knows for the future, or in the future, what could happen, Anyways, in the comments, let me know, what do you think about it? What do you think about the Polo guy? Because I know opinions are divided on him, the way he speaks, and acts, on certain things. But yeah, let me know, and we'll talk about it. Ciao.